It is draft season, Colts fans, which means it's time for the Indy Draft Guide 2023. Let's dive into this beautiful monster here on today's episode.
You are Locked On Colts, your daily Indianapolis Colts podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you all for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. This is your daily podcast covering your Indianapolis Colts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp, which connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. I'm Zach Hicks. Obviously, I'm half of the duo that you guys know and love here on Locked On Colts. And today, I decided to go solo with a little bit of a live stream today because we had a really exciting thing happen today, and that's the Indy Draft Guide. The Indy Draft Guide, which you guys have heard us talk about a couple times on this show. We've talked about it in the comment section, obviously, and also it's been in the show notes for the last 2 months. But yeah, guys, the Indy Draft Guide 2023 edition did drop today. 225 plus prospect profiles, team fits with the Colts, mock drafts, interview, like all this fun stuff. Definitely some Build a Ballard stuff in there too. We've had a lot of really cool stuff in that Indy Draft Guide. So today, I'm going to walk you guys through what the Indy Draft Guide is, if you guys are not familiar with it. Who's kind of contributing in it and kind of what went into the process of making this thing. And then in the second segment, we're going to talk about some of these guys that we wrote about in the article. I'll even show you guys some pages. I'll even do a quick picture right now. Look at that. That's what each prospect page looks like. That's what they look like there. So if you guys are obviously listening here on audio, you can go over to the YouTube channel and check out, read along as I'm talking through these pages. And if you guys are also listening on audio, like I will do my best to explain what is on the pages and what you guys are getting if you purchase the Indy Draft Guide. So I don't want this episode to come off like it's a big ad for the Indy Draft Guide, but it is something that me and a lot of other people with the Indianapolis market put a lot of work into over the last couple months, and I want to showcase it and bring it to you guys. If you guys haven't purchased the Indy Draft Guide yet, it is available for $9.99 on Gumroad. I will put the link in the description here. I don't think I've done that so far, but I will after the show. I'll put the link in there. If you guys aren't familiar with it or haven't seen it yet, you can go over to my Twitter handle at Zach Hicks2, and I'm sure you guys can see it on there as well. But yeah, guys, Indy Draft Guide. So what is the Indy Draft Guide? Well, it is a draft guide. It's a typical draft guide that you guys will see that, Dane Brugler does one for The Athletic. You can see, I think, the Draft Network did a draft guide as well. So it's a very expansive book that covers a lot of prospects. We had over 225 prospect profiles, and on those profiles, you get such things as background profiles on the guys. You get their strengths, their weaknesses, how they fit the specific team. So in this case, it's the Colts. So how each and every player fits the Indianapolis Colts. And then we also do pro comps. We also do test scores in there as well, like verified test scores that we were able to get a hold of and a lot of stuff like that. So that's everything you get per page there in the Indy Draft Guide. This wasn't just me that did it. I know a lot of people have been putting it out there. It's the Zach Hicks Draft Guide and Zach Hicks work on the Draft Guide. It's not just me. There's no way I could compile a 300-page book the way that some other people could do. But it was a combination of a big team. That team includes Kent Swanson with the KC Sports Network, Maddie Lane from the KC Sports Network, Zach Eisen, really young upcomer in the draft industry, Jacob Morley, he actually covers the Packers, and Ross Olgum, who also covers the Packers as well. So we had a kind of wide reach here of different people coming in and writing up the draft prospect reports and the scouting reports. And then when it comes to the team fits, so how we were able to kind of make this guide fit the Indianapolis Colts and fit kind of how each and every single player would work on this Colts team. We had Destin Adams from horseshoehuddle.com and Andrew Moore from horseshoehuddle.com also came in and wrote about those fits for every single prospect. So for every player, whether it's CJ Stroud, whether it's Jonathan Mingo, whether it's Payne Durham, whatever player you want to look up in this class, every single player will have a specific way that they fit the Colts, whether it's talking about their scheme, whether it's talking about what the Colts need at that position, how that player kind of plays into it. And then each player will also have a team fit grade. So basically they'll be labeled on a fit of high, low, or medium. And that will tell us, you guys reading, if you're reading through these players and you see a player like, let's just say CJ Stroud or someone like that, that's the type of player the Colts need at quarterback. So he's going to be a high fit. Now, if we go to a quarterback lower on, like a Tyson Bagent type guy or a Clayton Tune, where the Colts don't really need a developmental late round guy, those are going to be more the lower fits on there. So you guys can see all that in the Indy Draft Guide. A lot of really cool stuff. I threw a couple of Build-A-Ballards in there as well. We have the draft trade value chart in there too. So if you guys are checking that out and want to see, what it would cost for the Colts to move up to 3rd overall in the draft, you guys can see that right there in your draft guide. You can print out the book and be watching alongside the draft, and you can actually see the players as they go off the board and read about them as they go. It's really expansive, really extensive here, and we're going to get into kind of some specific players, and I'm going to show you guys some of the specific reports. So if you guys haven't purchased it right now, you could see some of these reports for the first time, and maybe this could be something that you guys like. So we're going to talk about that here in a second. But first, I want to talk to you guys about our show sponsor, BetterHelp. I know Jake can say the same, but in the pursuit of making this whole Colts thing my full-time job, I've taken some drastic steps over the last decade to make it happen. One thing I've learned about myself is despite wanting less on my plate, I tend to be at my most effective when I just throw a million things in front of me. But honestly, the momentum or motivation, whatever it is, it does kind of wear me out. And I sometimes just need to get to know myself a little bit better. So getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially when we're always growing and changing. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way that we do, or what is going on inside of us until we talk through those things. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. I've not personally been in therapy, but I know that it's been helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma either. As for BetterHelp, it's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist today, or switch therapists anytime for no additional cost. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. All right, guys. So we're going to jump into a couple of the scouting reports from this draft guide, so you guys can just get a little bit of a taste of what you're kind of getting if you look in this draft guide, and again, just a taste of the work that we've been able to do these last couple months preparing to launch this here today on Monday. So CJ Stroud is one that I want to throw up here first, because I know you guys love CJ Stroud. I know a lot of you guys have him as your first overall quarterback in this class. And who knows, maybe the Colts have him as the first overall quarterback in this class as well. And if he is there at pick 4 or at pick 3, we could see the Colts move up and go get him, or just take him there at 4. But if you guys are looking at the page right now on YouTube, or if you guys are listening on audio, you get the player's name at the very top. So CJ Stroud, you get their height, their weight. You would get their workout numbers, but again, CJ Stroud didn't really do any workouts this offseason. We get the birthplace, the birth date, so you can see how old they are, and then in parentheses, you get the age of the prospect on draft day. You get their 2022 stats. So for CJ Stroud, 66% completion percentage, 3,688 yards passing, 41 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Pretty darn good season for CJ Stroud there. On the top right corner, you get the round grade that we put on them. So first round grade is what we have on CJ Stroud. And you'll see with other players that I'm going to show you on some other pages, you'll see like 4th round, 5th round, 6th to 7th round grades and stuff like that. So it is kind of that tiered chart where it's going down the prospect counter there. For background, we got the early entrant in the 2023 NFL draft. So you know that he's an early declaree, not someone who played at the Reese's Senior Bowl or anything like that. You get, his background in high school, where he was an Elite 11 MVP for top high school QB competition, 2-year starter at Ohio State, 2-time first team All Big Ten in 2021 and 2022, 2-time Heisman Trophy finalist. So again, you just get all of that background right there for what this player was able to accomplish in college there, and even in high school a little bit there. So after that, we go to the strengths. And again, these strengths are based off of our film review of these players. We tried to at least watch 2 to 3 games of every single player here. Now, this wasn't me personally writing up CJ Stroud. This was Kent Swanson, our contributor, who does all the quarterback stuff. But I do agree with a lot of what he had to say here. Stroud is a well-built, athletic quarterback, possesses easy arm talent. All things don't need to be perfect for him to get the ball out. He doesn't need much space to operate. Stroud is capable of throwing the football accurately and with pace from a variety of platforms. So again, you can just see this is the type of player here that, a team like the Colts might want to build around. He's the best outside the numbers passer in this class. So we even compare them to other prospects in the class. You can kind of get that gauge of where this player ranks within the class. And then we go into detail on the weaknesses as well. So Stroud needs to speed up his processing. He's often too comfortable in the pocket. Stroud doesn't throw with much anticipation, which I honestly would disagree a little bit there. But Kent, I understand where he's coming from with that because of that Ohio State offense. You're sitting back in the pocket. You don't really have much pass rush and much pressure. And Kent even goes into more detail here with it. He needs to be ready at the top of his drop. And he often takes that extra hitch before throwing, which throws off the schedule and makes things a little inconsistent. But these are just minor things. Obviously, he's still got that first round grade. But this is how we make this a Colts fit type of article here, or type of draft guide here, where below we had Destin Adams and Andrew Moore come in and, talk about how Stroud would be a home run selection for the Colts. His ability to make any throw with incredible touch and accuracy would allow him to shine in Shane Steichen's offense. While he's not much of a runner at Ohio State, he could be underrated in this area to create and extend plays when the pocket breaks down, which, again, was Shane Steichen. So, again, this kind of just fits towards the Colts there. And then you get the player comp of Dak Prescott and the team fit of high with the Colts. He's a high fit with the Colts because this is the type of quarterback that the Colts need. So, again, every little thing you could look for in CJ Stroud outside of just having the film right in front of you, you're going to get all of that info right here. So let's go to another player here. We got Payne Durham. Payne Durham, obviously Purdue tight end. You can see right here his height, 6'6", weight 253. Obviously out of Purdue. You get where he was born, obviously his birth date and all that stuff. 2022 stats, 56 catches, 560 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Really good season there for Payne Durham this past season. We have a 4th round grade on Payne Durham. Again, very, very good player, but the athleticism brings him down just a little bit. Background, you get he played lacrosse in high school, only playing football during his senior season, became a 3-star recruit despite of that, and committed to play at Purdue, the lovely local college that we all love there. He redshirted his first season and slowly worked his way up to the depth chart to getting more playing time in 2021. And then he had some breakout seasons, participating in the 2023 Reese's Senior Bowl, where if I were to add anything to that, I'd say he was one of the best players at the Reese's Senior Bowl this past season. For strengths, Durham is a big body player who plays extremely physical in all aspects of the game. He's very powerful at the point of attack when run blocking. He'll explode off the line of scrimmage and engage with his man, even driving him backwards. So again, Payne Durham, best run blocker in the entire class when it comes to tight ends. And you can definitely see that on film here. And then in the passing game, Durham is best used in the short to intermediate areas. He's a great safety valve for his quarterback with a big frame and safe hands. So we love Payne Durham here, obviously, and I think this draft guide does a good job illuminating what his game is here. Obviously, weaknesses, he's not the lightest on his feet. He plods and moves around with very heavy steps because, again, the biggest reason why Payne Durham's not going to be a first-round pick in this is he's not this superb athlete. But you know what you're getting with him. You're getting a guy who could be Jack Doyle 2.0, and that's how we identified him in the fits. That's how we got him in the player comp for Jack Doyle, and then team fit medium because the Colts just have so many tight ends already. But Durham could be Jack Doyle 2.0 for the Colts. This is what I think Destin Adams wrote here in the team fit. Could be Jack Doyle 2.0. The comp for Durham's style is Doyle. He possesses said hands to make critical catches over the middle and can be a huge asset in the running game. The Colts kind of need that, so maybe a Payne Durham in this class, guys. I don't know. I'm pretty excited. This was written by Zach Eisen here, the young kid who helped us with the draft guide. He's phenomenal, really hard worker, and I really love some of his descriptions he put in a lot of his stuff here. Now going to another player who I think the Colts will really like in this class, and this is the one that I actually wrote up here, Cody Mauch from North Dakota State. You get his background that he's a former unranked recruit that elected to play college ball at North Dakota State. He was a walk-on at North Dakota State, had a slow start to his college career, redshirting his first year and then being used as scout team tight end in 2018. But then he kind of moved over to the offensive line, moved to offensive tackle, became a 4-time FCS champion and a multiple-time All-MVFC performer. So Cody Mauch is one of those guys where they started a little slow, started at a different position at tight end, moved to offensive line, and the results kind of paid off there. So yeah, Cody Mauch, player that I really like here. I wrote up his game. I'm the one who did all the scouting reports here, and I did all the offensive line in this draft guide. So a lot of these words, if you guys have been reading my work for years, like, oh, this sounds like Zach here. So Mauch is one of the more athletically gifted players in this entire draft class. He glides out in space as he possesses elite explosion and foot speed. He plays every single snap at 100 miles per hour, which that sounds like me. I definitely wrote that. And it's not a rare sight to see him flying down the field to pick up extra blocks on long runs. In the run game, Mauch is a grinder that wears defenses down with energy and athleticism. So again, Mauch, I think I did my best to encapsulate how fun his film is there. But again, you guys can go watch his film. He's a phenomenal player. For weaknesses, I put down that he's an extremely gifted athlete, but needs to rein in some of the finer details playing position. He plays a little bit high. He slows down his feet a little bit, leads some rough patches and getting beat by power on the outside. But this is another guy who I think we all agree when we are writing up the fits that he just fits the Colts really well. I put a player comp of Joe Thuney of the Kansas City Chiefs, an all-pro offensive guard who I think Mauch can be one day with the proper development. And we have him as a team fit as really high as well. So one more page I'm going to throw out here for you guys is Julius Brents, cornerback from Kansas State, born in Indy, local kid. He was actually at the local pro day today, which all reports said that he was very, very, I guess I'll say the Colts were talking to him for most of the day. Shane Steichen spent a lot of time with him, and this is just a corner that fits so well. 6'3", 198 pounds, born in Indianapolis, again, that local kid that we all love. 4 interceptions, 8 pass breakups last year. And if you look at his background, 3-star recruit that actually attended Iowa to start his career, goes down to Kansas State, and then really breaks out this past season, named coaches all Big 12 first team this past season. For strengths, he's one of the biggest and longest corners in the entire draft class, and it shows. In man coverage, he plays extremely patient for a player with so much length, but make sure to utilize his length to dictate the play tempo. This report here was written by Matty Lane. Again, I love how he talks about cornerback play. He really gets into it. Brents excels as zone coverage cornerback, showcasing a great feel when playing cover 3 bail technique. There we go. If we're talking fit, cover 3 bail technique, a lot of Gus Bradley type stuff there. For weaknesses, Brents has significant athletic limitations, and it's mostly just the hips and the long speed when it comes to Brents. He struggles to turn and run vertically with wide receivers. You could see that on film quite a bit. Quentin Johnston got him a couple times there in that TCU game. This puts him on his heels and it limits his athleticism. He has no hope but to grab onto them to save face. Yeah, we did see those issues quite a few times there at Kansas State, but Brents has raised his stocks this draft cycle more than any other prospect. This is how he fits with the Colts. Early on, he's getting mid-day 3 projections, and as of late, projected to hear his name on day 2 of the NFL draft. Great size, great length, great athleticism, but his play speed may not be telling off because it is what pops on screen. Brents would be best suited in the heavy zone scheme that the Colts run, where he can kind of get into those cover 3 drops and stuff like that. So for player comp, we got Jeff Okudah. For team fit, we got High. So those are just a couple of the Indy Draft Guide pages I wanted to share with you guys there, just so you can get a little sneak peek of what you're getting if you do purchase this guide. So again, you get every little thing you're looking for in these players. You're getting in-depth stuff there, and you are getting just kind of every single thing you need on each one of these players here. So guys, I'm going to close them out here in a second, answer a couple of your questions that you have in the comments. But first, before we pop off for the day, I got to talk to you guys about FanDuel. Grand slams, no hitters, and double plays are back. There's no better place to get in on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. That's because right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon, sign up, place your first bet, and then get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. So don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, guys. So I've been doing a lot of talking here. Again, I just wanted to showcase the Indy Draft Guide and talk about how proud I am of this team and all the people who have helped make this thing a possibility. And also say thank you to all of you guys who have, reached out and talked about the guide with me, who's pointed out some mistakes in the guide, obviously, and all of you guys who have purchased it and really enjoyed the content so far. I'm happy to provide this stuff for you, and I really, really appreciate you guys, paying a couple bucks to see my work and the work of my awesome team there with the Indy Draft Guide. I did have a question here in the comments I wanted to answer. Love catching you live. Just downloaded my guide. What would you think if the Colts traded with 3? Got that pass rusher and then traded for Lamar? In a perfect world, I would be super happy with them doing this. Get a great pass rusher and then trade for, in my opinion, a top 5, top 6, top 7 quarterback in the entire league. It's just not the most realistic thing because the Ravens have the ability to match. If the Ravens are looking at that and the Colts are, sending their 2024 and their 2025 first round picks for Lamar Jackson, then the Ravens are going to say, look, those are going to be late first round picks. It's really not worth it. We'll just match and try to figure something out here with Lamar. So in that scenario, you would trade up to get number 3 and get like a Will Anderson, but you could be left with no quarterback. You could be left with a Gardner Minshew because nothing is really dictated by you if you're trying to do the Lamar Jackson route, because the Ravens control all the power there. So again, Alian, I appreciate you buying the guide, and I love that you jumped onto the live here, but I just don't think this is realistic. I don't think Lamar Jackson will be coming to Indy, and I do think ultimately he's going to stay in Baltimore this next season. But guys, that's all I have for today. Again, Alian, thank you for jumping in, asking a question, and purchasing your draft guide. We appreciate it as much as always. But that's all I have for today. We're going to keep it kind of short today, and tomorrow we're going to be back at it with some fun stuff. I think Andrew Moore from horseshoehell.com, my colleague over there, we're going to do some mock draft stuff and talk about some options at the top of the draft. We might do like a mock draft where we do some trades and try to move around a little bit just to give you guys another perspective on that. So make sure you guys are catching us tomorrow morning on Locked On Colts. You make sure you're following us at Locked On Colts on Twitter, at Jake Arthur NFL, and at Zach Hicks 2. Again, all on Twitter. Also subscribe to Locked On Colts podcast on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you for making Locked On Colts your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes. From free agency to the draft to salary cap management and more, join NFL experts Kyle Krabs and Joe Marino as they take you through what it's like to build a successful NFL franchise every Monday through Friday. Find Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning.